Hello everyone. Once again, I welcome you all. So it's time to start our first session. Let me introduce the speaker for this session. The session is primarily based on the project management, and we are having the privilege of Dr. Rosemary Abika. She will be joining us. She's an edutech specialist at Department of Education, Philippines. An international and national resource speaker. She is affiliated with the Philippine Society of Information Technology Educators. She has been internationally affiliated and recognized as Microsoft Education Ambassador and Microsoft Innovative Education Expert since 2016. In addition, she is a certified Power Business Intelligence Apps and Automate Trainer, a certified Classpoint educator, and Alica contributor educator. She holds a degree in Bachelor of Sciences in Secondary Education, major in Computer Education, Master of Arts Education, major in Industrial Education Management, Master of Science in Information Technology, Doctor of Education in Industrial Education Management, Doctor of Philosophy in Technology Management, and Doctor of Information Technology. She holds a certification as a STEM Master Trainer from the Department of Information and Communication Technology, or DICT, and is one of the seasoned resource speaker of EduTech. So I profoundly welcome you, ma'am, and I'm looking forward, and I officially hand over the mic to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you have your lunch, happy lunch today. It's my pleasure to be presented with Mr. Akbar. And of course, I am very much happy to share with you whatever knowledge I have, in particular in project management. So, without further ado, of course, can I share my screen now? Is that okay? Thank you.
Mom, sorry, you're mute.
No sound
All
on
right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Am I visible now? Is
Yes,
my sound is visible? Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So to continue, my topic is about project management. But before that, what I want you to do is to scan this particular QR code so that you will be go to the classpoint.app. Everybody, I am giving you 30 seconds to scan this one, or just simply type this one, classpoint.app. And then after that, you just type this particular code, which is 58538. Now, if you get it, could you please make type number one to your chat box? Is it possible to type number one? Are there chat box is open? If it is possible, could you please type one? All right, thank you. I saw a lot of participants. Thank you very much. So I'm waiting for you. So that later on, when we start, class is full. Why? Oh, supposedly, it's not because I am holding a pro account in ClassPoint. I don't know what happened. Anyway, since I can only accept 25 people, but supposedly you are how many? I think you are 151, or I think more than 100. So let us start now. First is this is me. This is me, so that's my topic. And then this is my first question. What do you want to learn in project management? Yes, Sir Akbar. Okay, so to those who are already successful entering in ClassPoint, what I want you to do is to answer this one. What do you want to learn in project management? Are you ready now? This is only 1 minute. Timer start now. You can do it now. Go ahead. Let's put the music. You hear the music? I don't know if you hear the music. This is only 1 minute. Then after 1 minute, let us see your output after. Oh, sorry. Sorry for that. All right. So I hope you had an idea about project management. How many are students? Could you please type number 2 if you were a student, and if you were a teacher, type number 3. If you are a practitioner or working in an industry, type number 4. Okay, a lot of teacher. Thank you, teachers. What about student? There is a practitioner as well, a student. All right, look at the answer. How to implement a project management? Yes, in ICT. Planning? Yes, that is good. Agile, this is more on programming, Sir Carl. I think Sir Carl is good in programming because he told about agile. Process and tools? Yes. I want to handle projects and people in a nice manner. All right, that's good. Another is proper management of resources, people and tools, almost the same with Sir Erickson. That's good. You have an idea? What about the other? I think time's up. Some answer is I want to learn agile. All right. Some are about the methodology in creating a project. That's good. Effective in creating solution for more smooth project. And then another thing is areas of project management, implementation of agile, SDLS. All right, SDLS. And then system design life cycles po ang ibig sabihin ng SDLS. All right. Kim answered 1. Maybe Kim is she a student? And then the other one is standard procedure in ICT project management. So thank you for that. Thank you for that particular answer. Common answer is, let us see the common answer that you were expecting. The common answer is more on you want to learn about agile. Okay, so I'll gonna save this one. Thank you very much for that. So let us proceed now to my topic, exploring the project planning and execution capability of Microsoft Dynamics 365 project operation. Okay, in this topic, we will introduce the project execution and analysis in Microsoft Dynamics 365, help you optimize resource management, how to schedule a management and time expenses, as well as the project-based business. So first is, what are the learning objectives? Identify project features including contracts, stages, team assignment, fixed price, versus time and material estimated versus retainer contract, and then describe project team management capabilities, including allocation methods, resource scheduling, and skills. Next is describe project schedule management capabilities, including task, sub-task, assignment, project plan, and management. And then last but not the least, learning objectives is describe project cost tracking capability, including time and expense cost. If you have noticed, we are particular, and the topic focuses on the project with particular time and expenses, as well as planning and method that we are going to do in providing a project management. Next is create and manage work breakdown structure. So we will start now. When we mention WBS or the work breakdown structure, It is a description of the work that will be done for a project. Its hierarchy of tasks that represent the project team's understanding of the composition of work of the size, cost, and duration of each component or task. A WBS has three major purposes. First is describe the breakdown or composition of work in tasks. Okay? What is your task? What is your duties and responsibility as part of the team? And then schedule the project. What would be the calendar of activity of your project? Well, when will you start and what is the target end of that particular proposal? Next is estimate the cost of each task. Every project needs a financial matter or a cost, all right, or a money in order for you to put up a certain project. Because if you don't have money, how can you put up a certain project? So this is the three major purposes. First is know first the people, as I have mentioned a while ago, composition of whatever task you are planning of and who are the people assigned to that particular position, and then schedule it. When would you like to start it, and when is the target date of um, providing an output and finish that particular proposal. And last but not the least, how much is the cost of that particular task, including the salary, the expenses of that particular project proposal. Next is creating a WBS involves three activities. What are those? First is work decomposition. In work decomposition, create a breakdown of work into manageable chunks or tasks. As I have mentioned, this is the time that you need to provide the responsibility of each member, from the top management up to the member of the project. Okay, so you need to provide a work decomposition. Next is the work schedule. As I mentioned a while ago, estimate the time required to complete a task. Set task in dependency and select the start and end
it's not
dates for a task.
factual,
Of course, if you
and
are providing a
it tells
project
lies.
proposal, for example, way back 10 years ago, I become part of a crewing company wherein I become a technical secretary of that crewing company. Our uh, our yung aming pong product, our product is about clientele of
Power
several
dimension tables,
industry here
and
in
so
the
on.
Philippines, wherein we offered a lot of system like CMS system, LMS, like that. And then that the task of the technical secretary is to make sure that the particular project is in the proper calendar. So we provide work scheduling. When to start, when is the planning, when after planning, when is the meeting with the client, after the meeting with the client, when is the start of creating that particular system, and then after start, target a first presentation of that particular system so that the client will check if there is need of um if needed to modify a certain uh, maybe the prototype of that system or the flow of that particular system, and lot more. So that is important. Next is cost estimate. We also negotiate with them the particular money or the payment of that particular client. We need to estimate it. How many months? For example, our team provided 6 months of duration in creating and up to finishing that particular proposal. In 6 months, they will pay us 200,000. In that case, whether you like it or not, you need to finish it within 6 months effectively and proficiently. And aside from that, running. Your program is running. Siguraduhin po na nagro-run po yung program nyo, at hindi lang basta nagro-run. This is effective and usable within the company. Okay? So next is, right, schedule estimation. In schedule estimation, it is usually the second step in creating a WBS. A while ago, we create a WBS. This time, we will proceed now to schedule estimation. As a best practice, you should complete schedule estimation after you create the task. Meaning to say, need first your when you are creating an animation or web design, you need to create a storyboard. It goes like that. The storyboard, in other term, is the WBS. So provide first the task, and then if you are already have the task, everything is there. It's about time to do your schedule estimation. Okay, i-assign mo na ngayon kung sino po ba yung naka-assign doon sa bagay na yon. Okay? Next is the work breakdown structure page in finances 2 section. Okay? 2 section. The upper pane is intended for schedule estimation, and the lower pane includes an estimated cost and revenues tab that you can use for cost estimation. This is only an example. Okay? A breakdown example for finance. They are divided into two. First one is the schedule estimation, and the lower one is the estimated cost revenue. Okay? So next is task dependencies. All right. In a WBS, you can create a predecessor relationship between tasks. When you assign a predecessor task to a task, that task can start only after its predecessor task had been completed. The planned start date of the task is automatically set to the latest date of all its predecessor. Okay? So meaning to say, you need to provide a calendar task so that all the members of the team can follow that particular task within the time span or within the start period up to the end of the proposal of the project. And then next is the start task scheduling. These are the following factors determined in scheduling of the leaf node tasks. First is predecessors. Next is the effort. And the next is number of resources. All right. And then start and end dates. That is particular. Predecessor, this is the people who are going to be assigned in that particular task. And then what will be the effort or the responsibility of the particular person. Anyway, later on, I will discuss to you the different involved person in the project management. Number of resources. What are the resources needed? Is it software, hardware, or application, or maybe materials, the tools that you needed? And then, of course, the calendar of activity that I have mentioned a while ago. Where are you going to start, and where is the last or the end of the date of that project proposal? Okay, the schedule rules. When automatic scheduling assistance is turned on, the following rules apply to task scheduling of leaf node tasks. In fact, we can use a Microsoft project in order for you to provide a project management. But unfortunately, I don't have account in order for you to demonstrate how to use the Microsoft project. But I can demonstrate to you a little. This is the example of the project in Microsoft. Right? Look at this. If you have 365 account, could you please type 1 if you have 365 account? Everybody? I'm looking with the other computer so I can see your chat or anything. Let me know if you have any question. Don't be shy to ask question. Okay lang po kung gusto niyo po magtagalog para mas maintindihan niyo po. Okay lang po sa akin. No problem with that. Okay, this is the example of the project. For example, you have your Microsoft 365 account. Inside the O365 account, you will see the word project. Where can you find that? In the app launcher, all you need to do is to locate the project or just simply type project. Okay, in the search box, you can type project, and this is the tools that you can use in project management. In order for you to create a project management, you just click the new project. Look at this upon clicking. This is the the screen of the new project, there are three choices. The blank project, the roadmap, meaning you have already your project proposal and you collaborate to each other as one team. So you can use the roadmap and you can import a project coming from other clientele or customer. You can do that. Look at this. Upon clicking the import project, I don't have license. So, I cannot explore it to you guys. Hindi ko siya mamamanipulate para maipakita sa inyo what is the use of this because I don't have license. Because my account is coming from DepEd. So, under the umbrella of DepEd. So, maybe because I am not in the higher authority to use that particular tab. So, I were not able to demonstrate it to you. What about the roadmap? Same thing. No license to create a roadmap. Okay? What's the use of roadmap? This is area wherein you have your existing proposal. What about the blank project? Same thing. I don't have license, so I cannot manipulate this one. Now, if you have your own license, you can manipulate a lot of template. Meron po siyang simple project. This is for a simple or a basic organizational project maybe within your department only. But if you want at least big project within your school or within your company, you can use project management. But unfortunately, as I have mentioned to you guys, I don't have a license to this, so I cannot open. But I will try it so that you can see it on your own. Oh, look at this. Upon clicking the project management, of course, the procedure is there. You can create, initiating a project. You can plan. You can execute a project with certain tasks, with objectives, with develop strategies and plan, as well as the research previous experiences. As you can see, in planning, another task, of course, in this area of task, ito po yung area na nilalagay nyo po yung tao na involved dun sa particular task na iyon. Okay? And then, of course, in that particular task, there is a process, like this one, prepared facilities, how many days, what's the date, who are the involved person, in that way. And then the other thing is set up a project standard and procedure. How many days again, with calendar of procedure. Same thing with the execution. I just put it in a big screen so that you can see it clearly. Okay. It's luck. In as much as I wanted to demonstrate it to you guys, I can't because I don't have personal account of this. And then, the other one is executing actually a lot more. Meron pa yung kadugtong eh. Yan, executing another, again, you have to add tasks, obtain resources, what are the materials you used, and then the date, you procure that, and then conduct team orientation upon finishing it. Ibig sabihin, this is about time to present now your project proposal and then assigned responsibility if it is already finished. Okay, this is the key benefits. You can structure conceptualization of your projects, goals and scope, because in creating a project, the first thing that you need to do is to know your aim or your goal, and then what would be the possible scope. Okay, and then in this area, you can do a systematic planning guidance. As you can see, di ba, nakaplan talaga siya. Makikita mo na, even yung mga members mo or yung the higher authority or the CEO can see it immediately na, ito pala yung naka-assign na tao, ito pala yung team or yung department na naka-assign sa particular activity na ito ng ating project. Then, organize your action plan. Of course, lahat naman po yan in all government agency and even private sector or industry, there is a systematic planning guidance. Okay? Systematic planning guidance and an action plan. Okay? Then, keep track of progress, finance, quality control. Dapat po lagi yan. Always keep track of the possible progress of that system. Nasaan na ba? Where are we now? Are we in the middle? Are we finished the particular prototype of the system, or did the programmer created already the interactive system, dapat alam po nyo yun. Dapat na-follow po natin yung calendar of activity natin. How much did we expense on that particular? Magkano na po ang nagastos natin? Dapat alam po natin yun. Daily basis po yun with certain OR or official receipt. Then, quality control, always do a QC or a quality assurance. Quality control, QA it or QC it. Why? You need to check that. Baka mamaya na meron palang mali dun sa mga use case na ginagamit. Hindi pa natin napapansin yung prototype pala, yung combination ng background niya hindi ganun kaganda. So at least monitor mo immediately na ito ang dapat mong baguhin agad-agad. Hindi po patatapusin yung proposal bago mo i-check. Okay, from time to time. And then assess customer satisfaction. Assess customer satisfaction, team and financial performance, lesson learned. Ayan. You can use this template, but as I have mentioned, I don't have license to this. Another, a lot of template. You can use this if you have, of course, if you have, you can. All right. You can explore it on your own. So I'll continue. Are we good? I hope you're good. If you are good, could you please provide a heart icon? If you are good, you can ask question. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Next is, of course, actually this topic is very challenging. When I was teaching in college and in masteral, I do teach this one, project management. This is bloody. Sabi nila, nose bleeding. All right? This is nose bleeding. But, pagka po lagi yung ginagawa, if you do it always, it become more easier. And mas napapadali rin po yung ating trabaho. All right? Scheduling rules. When automatic scheduling assistant is turned on, yun po yung sinasabi ko kanina. On the following rules apply to task scheduling for lift node. Yung lift node, yung po yung nasa system na pinapakita ko kanina sa inyo. The start and the end dates of a task must be working days. Okay, according to the project scheduling calendar. Must be working days. In a working days hour. Pwede naman po na katulad ngayon, may nilabas ng Civil Service Commission na medyo flexi time na raw po ang mga government agency. Depende na po sa kanila kung anong oras ang gusto nilang pasok. Basta within 8 hours, they can work. Ganyan. Siguro kung panggabi, kaya lang wala namang panggabi sa mga offices, di ba? So, I don't think possible pa rin yun. Siguro 6 to 3, 7 to 4, 8 to 5 yung scheduling. So, ganun po yung ano niya. You start and end the dates of tasks within working days. Another thing is, if you start it, for example, January and your target finish it in June, whether you like it or not, you need to finish that within the working span period of time or working days. Hindi pwede mag-extend, hindi pwedeng ganon. So dapat we need to always get the target of that particular project proposal. The start day of a task that has predecessor is automatically set to the latest end date of its predecessor. Dapat ganun daw po. The effort of a task is automatically calculated. Ayan, meron po tayong mga calculation dito mamaya. I'm sure yung iba sasabihin, ay, ganun pala, di ba? Para may computation dito na challenge nga ako. Sabi ko, oh my God, bakit ako napunta rito? So may computation. Ayan, sabi rito, how will you give a salary to your people? You handle people. For example, you become a project manager. Kasi ako naging project manager ako before. So, paano raw kinukompute kung paano mo silang pasisweldohin? Number of people, multiply the duration of time. Ayan, duration, how many days? Siguro mga 5 days. Times number of hours in a standard working day in a project calendar. For example, number of people, 10 times how many days in the calendar, duration number, maybe the duration is 5 days or times 8 hours. Okay, so like that. So that is the possible calculated salary that your employee will be received, or particular cost that you can budget. Okay? Para ma-budget mo na ito pala yung possible na magagastos ko kapag kumuha ko ng mga tao na to. Ito yung aking expenses. So, sa tao pa lang po yun, ha. So, tandaan ulit, number of people, multiply by duration, multiply the numbers in hour. In hour in a standard working day, which is Monday to Friday. Or depende, Tuesday to Saturday. Depende, kasi mga call center, di ba? Meron silang tawag dito, yung Wednesday to pati Sunday, may pasok sila. It depends upon the situation. Kung gayon nga, flexi hour na, pero di ba may net differential pa rin. Pero depende po sa inyo kung paano nyo gagawin yan. But as I have mentioned a while ago, hindi pwedeng project lang tayo ng project without cost. Di ba sinabi kanina yun, tatlo yun. Tatlo yung mahalaga in creating a project management proposal. Next, yan, cost estimation. You enter the cost estimation for each leaf node task by using the estimated cost and revenues tab in the lower pane of the work breakdown structure page. Ano yon? You can modify the cost estimation for a summary or container task. The cost estimation for a summary task is equal. Ayan, sabi ha. The cost estimation for a summary task is equal to the sum of the cost estimation for each leaf node task. Dapat yung cost niya at yung cost estimation na summary nyo at yung cost estimation na leaf mode nyo ay equal. Dapat ganun. Walang discrepancy. There is no discrepancy kasi mahirap pagka na-question tayo in terms of money matter. Okay? Yung mga dapat lahat nagtatali. Okay? A question from a background of software developer. Who would be the best person to estimate the effort days per system module requirements? Does the same formula apply? Sir Frederick, I will discuss it later. Meron po akong yun sa pangalan ng mga tao kung ano yung mga task nila later on. Okay pa? Okay, so next is I do read your question. The estimated total cost for each task is calculated at the sum of estimated amounts for the following transaction types. Ayan na, di ba? First is the labor. Yan. Second is item or materials. So, number one yan, kailangan ganon. And then, expenses. Yun pala yung estimated total cost, ano? And then, ayan, a fee transaction type is used to estimate fee-based revenue. This transaction type doesn't have a cost component and therefore isn't considered when costs are estimated. Alright, so yung fee transaction daw po. So tatlo lang. Next, an on-account transaction type is used to record the contracted sale value sa on-account. May kanya-kanya po para po tayo nasa ano nito sa yung subject ko noon nung ako'y nag-aaral pa sa bookkeeping. Ito po yan An on-account transaction type is used to record the contracted sales value in a fixed value type of project. This transaction type isn't considered when costs are estimated. So, yung on-account po yun. Next is, sorry medyo 1 hour lang kasi ako, kaya medyo mabilis yung aking medyo mahaba kasi yung topic ko. So, kaya ganun po. When you estimate cost for labor, kanina cost of, yung kanina po? Kanina ay estimated total cost. Ngayon daw, let us break down it. Paano raw po mag-compute ng cost of labor? Yan. Cost of labor, materials, expenses for each task, you must assign a project category to the estimated cost. First is the estimating labor cost. Okay. For each leaf node task, you assign a work efforts in hours and a default category. Therefore, when you set up a schedule for a task, the labor cost estimate for the task is automatically added in the default category for labor. This cost estimate is displayed on the estimated cost and revenue tab in the line details. In the line details grid for the task. Sayang hindi ko po ma-demonstrate sa inyo. Maganda sana kung na-open ko po yung project management na icon. If you increase or decrease hours on the labor cost estimate, the schedule for the task is automatically recalculated. So, automatic siya. Yun yung maganda rito. Pwede nyo rin po itong gawin sa Excel. Kung kayo ay advanced na po sa Excel, pwede nyo po i-program. Yan, pwedeng i-program. Pero, ba't mag-Excel pa po kayo if there is an available task pa po na mas upgraded na nasa O365 din naman po. The next is estimate expenses and material cost. Kanina labor cost. This time expenses and material cost. The estimated cost and revenue tab also let estimate expense and material cost for a task if you are required to estimate. Eto, saka pa lang natin siya isasama. Yan. Manage the work breakdown structure. Some industry track the progress of project against a WBS at granular level. So mahalaga po yung WBS. Whereas other track progress at higher level of the WBS, you can use WBS tracking for your project requirements using 3 available views. Ano po yun? Una, planning views. Yan. Kanina po yan yung diniscuss ko dun sa project, kung nakita nyo. In planning views, this is the area wherein you plan or baseline estimate the schedule and the cost information. Yan. Although there are no feature for tracking the version and baseline for a project WBS, the values in this view are intended to represent the baseline version. Yun, planning views po muna tayo, nagpa-plan. Then next is effort tracking views. These views display the tracking of progress for tasks in the WBS. The effort tracking view compares the accumulated actual efforts for a task to the planned effort hours. The following formulas provide the values and effort tracking views. Meron yung formulas. Let us see. This is the formula. First is progress percentage is equals effort to date divided by planned effort for the task. Grabe no, ang lupit po no. Itong atin na tandaan po so PP or si progress percentage is equals to actual effort to date, yung mismong date, divided by planned effort for the task. Ano ba yung ginawa niya nung araw na yon? And then estimate at complete remaining effort plus actual effort to date. Yun yung estimate at complete. Okay? Yan. Yung isa pa, remaining effort naman po, also known as estimate to complete or the ETC, is equals to planned effort minus actual effort to date. O yan, ganun pala, no? Grabe, no? Ang lupit pala nito. So, progress percentage, pag kinompute po natin, alam na, remaining effort, same thing. So, pag po nag-provide kayo or gumawa kayo ng sarili nyong company, you can do this. So, mas madali na po sa inyong gawin to. Okay po? Yan. Project effort variance, planned effort, minus the EAC. Ito po yan. Sabi niya also yung remaining effort daw po. Si planned effort minus the EAC. Okay? So, ano siya? Connect siya sa isa't isa. Okay? Dito rin, no, remaining effort, ito po yan, no, minus actual effort naman. Ano po ba yung actual effort na yan? Yung actual effort ng ating mga trabahador. Yan. Cost tracking view. This view display the tracking of cost consumption for a task. Ito po yung mga yan. In this view, the actual cost that has been spent against a task to date is compared to the planned cost for the task. The following formulas provide the values in cost tracking views. Meron uli siya si cost tracking view. Meron na naman pong computation. Yan. Percentage of cost consumed, actual cost to date, divided by planned cost for the task. Yun yung percentage of cost consumed. Yung next is CTC, cost to complete, planned cost,
Ma'am, nawala po kayo.
Nag-automatic muted ako. Thank you sa nagpaalala. Ayan, nag-automatic muted ako. Okay, so next is yan, project cost variance equals to planned cost minus the EAC or the estimate at complete. Yan. Don't worry, bibigyan ko po kayo ng PowerPoint presentation nito. Create and manage project forecast and budget. Here are two ways to manage and control your projects. First is the project forecast and the project budgets. Project forecast is used for forecasting a project in an organization in operational perspective and focuses on the revenues, dun po siya nagpo-focus, and cost derived from a specific transaction. Right? While project budgets use project budgeting if your organization focus more on financial amounts. Yan po yung pagkakaiba. Si project forecast, more on more on operational perspective and focuses on the revenues and costs within specific transaction. While project budget is within the organization focusing financial amounts. Okay, yun po yung pagkakaiba nilang dalawa. Sorry, etong topic natin is more on definition of terms kasi we cannot hindi tayo pwedeng tumalon sa other topic without discussing the definition of terms of those. Project forecast transactions are based on units and amounts. It is associated in project forecast with the forecast model. Okay, in the forecast transaction and the forecast model is automatically suggested. The forecast model acts as container for the forecast transaction. Si forecast model, siya yung lalagyan ni forecast transaction natin. Then, forecast model have a single layer hierarchy. Single layer lang po siya. This means, one project forecast must be associated with one forecast model. So, isa-isahan lang siya. 1:1 lang po siya. Okay. Next is, si project. Okay. You can, sabi rito, you can copy forecast model to new forecast as well as revise copy, delete, or transfer. Pwede raw po, basta 1:1 lang po siya. Yan, you can revise, sabi, you can copy or delete, you can transfer. Ayan, yun po yung kanyang functionality. Next is project budget. A simpler method than forecasting. Although it does integrate with forecast model, it is used a single entry from original budget details and revise it in allowing projection that are based only on an amount, category, or activity. So, yun po yan. Then, in project budgeting, all original budget and revision must be sent to project workflow for approval. Workflows give you increased control over the process and create change history record. Medyo madugo po ito, medyo para siyang theoretical. Nung ako po'y inaaral ko siya, more on talagang theoretical siya. In creating a project budgeting, you need to provide a general ledger. Okay? Yan, ano na tayo, no? Accounting, ang ating pinag-aaralan. General ledger in order for you to provide a faster and easier setup. So you need, meron naman mga electronic general ledger na ngayon eh. Doon sa project, yung pinakita ko po sa inyo system kanina ng O365, meron po doon. Yan. Next, manage your forecast and budgets. How will you do that? You can manage your project forecast by, associating your project forecast with the forecast model that act as container. Nasabi ko na rin po kanina yan for the forecast transaction. Design forecast model as sub-model or model. Okay? Forecast by region, time period, or by department. Using forecast reduction as control mechanism for project, forecast reduction, actual transaction, reduce forecast transaction balances. Kasi gumamit tayo ng ledger, di ba? Sabi kanina, ledger. Then, you can do revising, copying, deleting, or transferring project forecast in general ledger budget. O, yan. Next is, you can manage your project budget by sending all original budget. Actually, parang nauulit, ano? Pero para lang matandaan po natin na yun yung process niya. Sending original budgets and revise it to project flow for approval. Lagi pong ganon. Always have an approval. Workflow give you increased control over the process and create change history record. Yan. Okay, so explore the project invoicing capability. This determine which invoicing, kanina po, general ledger. Ngayon may invoicing na tayo. Invoicing procedures should be applied. Only two external project types can be invoiced. Ano po yun? Time and material project. As well as the, kasama rin po si fix and price, pero dalawa lang naman po yan. Time and material project and then fixed price project. Yan, silang dalawa. Lagi po silang magkasama na inilalagay sa invoice natin ha. Sa invoice. And then, sa fixed price project, ano po ito? Customer invoice is based on the invoice billing schedules. Yun po yung kanyang focuses. Okay po? Refer in billing schedule. While time and material project is a customer invoice amount based on transaction lines that enter on a project transaction. Ito naman po ay per project and per contract. Yung kanina po ay billing schedule. Ito naman po ay per transaction line, per project and per project contracts. Ayan. There are three ways to attach time and materials project and fixed price project. Una, on accounting invoicing. Yan. Next is invoicing in the periodic section. Sa accounting invoicing, time and material projects can be put it there. And then, ano po yung nakalagay doon? Yung account setup required and of each project. While in invoicing in the periodic section, through periodic function, transaction can be invoiced across project. The periodic function provide an overview transaction that must be invoiced. Okay po? Next, using credit notes in invoicing. Ito naman po ay more on credit note. Okay, both time and materials or fixed price project. Okay po. Next is invoice proposal. Before creating an invoice proposal, create customer invoice for a project muna and then create a preliminary invoice or invoice proposal and then select project transaction, include invoice up to project invoice and then send it to the customer. Ganun po yung invoice. Next, billing schedule. You can invoice fixed project on billing schedule. So, si fixed price project is under the billing schedule. This billing schedule is defined in terms of one or more milestone per project. Okay, next. Ano po yung nakalagay doon? The sales currency, sales price, and activity. Example, you can set up the following billing schedule. For example, 20% when the project contract is assigned. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na scheduling or yung calendar of activity. For example, in the contract signing, indicated to your contract or yung memorandum of agreement nyo that after 20%, for example, the total amount of that particular proposal is 100,000, and then you will create it in 6 months. Nakalagay po sa inyong memorandum of agreement that within 2 months, they need to pay 20% of that particular payment. So, in 20% ng 100,000 is 20,000. So, dapat magbigay po sila ng 20,000. But you need to make sure also that you target that particular project. Dapat kung sinabi nyo na may prototype na kayo within 2 months, dapat meron bago nila kayo bayaran ng 20%. And then 30% on the first delivery, you rebuttal it, you defense it to your client, 30%. Another 50% on the second, 15% on the second delivery until we reach the 100%. Okay, yung final delivery po. From the contract signing, first delivery, second delivery, and final delivery. Next is invoice control. This is used to track both invoice and non-invoice transaction. At to analyze those transactions against quotation. Quotation, yung pera po yan matter. And end-to-end view of your project from the quotation stage to completion. Okay? You can, which transaction had been charged to a specific project. Ano lang ba yung charge nila? Yung pinakita ko kanina, yun po yun. Yan. Intercompany invoicing is also available within the organization po ito. Ang tawag po ay intercompany invoicing. Meron po siyang multiple division, subsidiaries, other legal entities, and other project. Yun yung Now, could you please watch this one? Let me know if you can hear the sound.
In this video, I'll be walking through the process of invoicing a single project within project operations. Although it is possible to perform mass invoicing, for demonstration purposes, we will focus on just a single time and material project. We will also point out the posting results and highlight the financial insights within the project statement. Let us start with project invoicing. From the project management workspace, I can see all of my active projects. I can search for my projects using
That is the
filter,
example of a project
or in my
management.
case, I happen to know which project number it is, number 93.
You see how good it is?
Then I will use this
Okay.
opens the project invoice proposal screen, where I can see all
So
previous
anyway, I will fast track my topic. So next is, okay, I'll fast track it. Gusto ko pong makarating dun sa ano yung mga functionality kasi parang yung iba inulit na lang, in-explain lang sa video. This is the diagram of the project management. You do plan and then of course you monitor and control and then execute. Si execute nasa gitna kasi yun naman talaga yung focus niya. So baba naka-indicate naman po. Create project team, resource calendar and booking, integrate work, breakdown structure, estimate cost using roles, ayun yung sinasabi ko kanina, drop project budget, and synchronous capacity. So, yun siya. Set a project, gusto ko makarating dun sa yung functionality. So, I need to hurry up. Ito po yung mga possible na skills na kukunin nyo po sa inyong planning. Dapat skills, public speaking, SQL scripting, technical writing. Dapat, ako po naging technical secretary ako before. So, dapat yun po yung mga kukunin nyo kung technical secretary yung kukunin nyo. Ano yung mga certification? Dapat ACMA, project management professional. Kung gusto nyo maging project manager po, no? Kung gusto nyo explore yung sarili nyo, you can be a certified project management professional, agile certified professional, or solution selling. And then education related into accounting, engineering, or public relation. Then project experience, make sure that you are Office 365 deployment or Contoso ERP upgraded. Yan, this is the software developer resources. You have your skill, your certificate, education, and project system. Okay, create a project team. Ito na po siya. Yan, you have your project team, your software engineer divided into 3, the BRAD, the software engineer 2 and 3, business analyst, and then the software tester. Okay. Types of booking are supported, hard book, of course, the soft book. Okay, this is the scheduling as I have mentioned a while ago. Ayan yung nakasulat kanina. Project entry. Sorry ha, medyo minadali ko kasi very short yung time ng aking oras yan, yung per diem. Ito naririnig nyo po itong per diem na to In per diem, you must define the employee per diem that your organization provides because per diem are typically used to cover expenses such as meals. Naririnig nyo yan Meals, board and lodging, and other incidental expenses. Sa DepEd po kasi meron din pong per diem na tinatawag. Sinasama po yan kapag nagko-compute kami ng reimbursement namin. Okay? So yun si per diem. Tandaan, si per diem ay nakapokus kay meals, the board and lodging, and other incidental expenses. Kaya importante na meron po tayong anong tawag doon, yung may tawag po kami doon na kailangan nagpo-provide muna kami noon para in case of emergency or na-aksidente kami, babayaran kami ng company if something happened to me during my work. Yun po yun. May pinoprovide sa amin na ganyan. Yung travel order, yun, TA ang tawag namin, travel order. Kailangan meron kami noon para in case something happen to me, they can provide the per diem and they can pay for me. Yun, yung per diem po. Yan. Sabi dito, do per diem rates vary according to location? Yes. Sa DepEd po merong ganyan. Merong certain duration. Pag NCR ka, ganito. Pag Region 3, Region 4, or kung outside the country, meron po siya. So, it varies the location. Okay, meron po yan. Hindi ko na po masasabi sa inyo kasi kanya-kanyang company po tayo. Yan. Payment method, allow, yan, pwedeng reimbursement kasi yan, half-half, pwedeng ganon, or depende po kung paano nyo yan. Hindi ko na papakita yung video. Diretso na ako sa ang dami po, no? Actually, pinaiksi ko na to pero hindi talaga mapaiksi. Ito yung mga ginagamit na mga method. Sales order, inventory journal, item requirements, purchase orders. Tapos ano po yung mga yan? Creating a purchase order, andyan din po siya. Cash flow monitoring, this is important. You can review your cash flow by providing project in progress. Dapat po laging ganon. Naka-monitor yung cash flow po natin. Yan. Remaining budget amount, actual cost, committed cost, remaining budget, mahalaga po yan. Hindi ko na ma-discuss sa inyo lahat, ano? Ang dami po kasi isa buong topic siya. Ayan. So anyway, gusto ko makita nyo yung yung mga rules, ay mga ano ba yung trabaho ng isang project, yung isang team ng project. Dapat makita nyo po yun. Di ba 73 pages po siya. Dapat po ay makita nyo. Bakit wala? Patapos na po ako I think sa kabilang ano ko yun. Kabilang PowerPoint. Natatouch din po kasi supposedly dun sa data analytic. Kaya lang dito wala na. Hindi ko na po na ilagay. So, discuss na lang po natin tong iba. I'm almost done. Binadali ko na po kasi I think magto 2 o'clock na. Ayan. Expense management. This is the area wherein you store information about payment method, travel requisition, expense reports, policy. Na-discuss ko na yung per dime. Sabi ko na rin po kasi kanina kung sino yon. Si project manager po ang responsible in scheduling and manage resources across legal entities. Si project manager po yon. Tandaan po natin yan ha. Yun po ang kanyang task. Production order can be created as part of the project lifecycle when product required per project must be manufactured. Ito, create production order lang naman po ito. List. Finish item, link to order. This is the method. Method on how we used to create production order. First is you finish the item and link to order. Ano yung order na yun? Sales order or item requirements. And then, nakalagay din dito yung method, yung actual project cost, and then posted and sales order, indicated din po to. Even yung packing slip is updated for item requirements. Yan. Finish item, no link to order, actual costs can't be posted. Hindi po pinopost itong area na to until the production cycle for item has a status of ended. Yung link to order, kahit hindi pa tapos, pwede nang i-post, while the no link to order, if it is not yet ended, hindi pa po siya pwedeng i-post. Yan, consumed item, link to order, na-discuss ko na po yan kanina, nakalagay doon, if you started it, you can link your order or post it immediately. Pag sinabi naman po no link to order, you cannot post it until you finish it. This is the consumption project, sales order, yung purpose, consumption of the transaction, the inventory journal, and the purposes itself, the item requirements, the purchase order is like that. This is the purchase order per project. The cash flow monitoring helps you to review both the forecasted cash flow and the actual cash flow.
Dr. Rosemary.
Yes.
May I?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. Are you required some minutes, to wrap up, because we are having another session planned as well. If you need to have
Do you
some
have any
minutes to wrap
question?
up?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because we another session is actually in pipeline, so we will be shifting to the other session.
Yeah, yeah. So, any question, ma'am? Are we going to have a copy po ba? Yes, yes, I will. I will give the copy of this presentation kasi medyo mahaba po talaga. I know you wanted to read this one. Actually, I have a quiz, a little quiz sana dito para masagutan lang po sana para ma-check. Ayan no. Erica, a project manager, could you please answer a few minutes? Is it okay? A few minutes only? Could you please answer to those who are already inside the class point? Anyone? Please answer it. 3 questions lang naman po yan. Would it be fine if you answer it? My question, what if there is a breach of contract in terms of payment schedule or delivery dates? Should we adjust the WBS or create new one? Yes po, you can adjust the WBS or I think much better if you adjust the WBS. But I would advise, kasi kung nandun na po siya sa sistema, breach of contract, dapat po sa contract nyo naka-indicate if that person will pay a certain amount. Kasi meron akong ganyan na naging co-teacher na nag-breach of contract siya, nag-public school siya, and then naka-contract siya sa isang company. Ang nangyari po is, na breach of contract, pinagbayad po siya, and then, hindi mo na siya in-accept ni DepEd within a year. Parang ganun. Dapat po, indicated po yun. Ayan. Please answer po. Walang nag-answer. Okay. Anyway, next is, eto po yung next question. Okay lang po yan. It's already time. So thank you very much. Remember, technology will not replace great teacher or employee, but technology in the hands of great employee and great teacher can be transformational. By George Cures. Thank you very much. I hope.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Rosemary, for a very valuable insight in the in-depth knowledge of the intervention of the project management. Indeed, we are very much grateful to you for your time. Indeed, we are very much okay. Got the message that okay. So I got the message that the next speaker is not yet around. So still, if you are having some questions, so it's better to are you having time? I guess to continue.
It's okay. If you have any question, you can ask questions.
Yeah. If we can take actually some questions because we are waiting for our next speaker, who is not yet on board here. So still we are having some minutes. So you can float your questions, please.
So far, I think even in a short period of time, I think the audience are excited to learn a lot from project management. I hope that one day I will be invited again to at least explore more the project management para mas maintindihan po nila. I hope so. Thank you very much sa inyong lahat. I think no more question. Oh, I read one question. What is this? Coming from background software developer, who would be the best person to estimate the effort days per system module requirement? Does the same formula apply? I think complying or computing this thing is we need to hire an accountant with, of course, meron siyang guidance, with guidance of the project manager. Kasi mas alam nila yon, si project manager kasi yung nag-produce nun eh. So, we need, kaya nga po kanina kung makikita nyo, sino yung mga taong i-hire daw po, di ba? Accountant, engineer, di ba? And then, IT practitioner. So, yun po. I hope nasagot ko po. Yes, applied naman po yun. Applied naman po. Yung computation na yun. that computation is applied, you can apply it within your team. Kasi nagawa naman po namin siya. I'll send the copy to the organizer, but I think I can send it now. I will. I can send it now. Please do. I don't know if I can upload. Am I allowed to upload? I don't know if I am allowed to upload. In chat box. I think I need to transfer. I don't know if I am allowed to. I will upload it immediately. File. Nakikita nyo naman po, di ba? So, i-upload ko po siya. I'll share the file. I'll upload this one. Okay. Am I in the right track? I think this one. I share it already, so you can get it. I already uploaded it here. You just wait for a while. You can get it now. Okay po ba, Ma'am Azul? Na-upload ko na po siya. It is already uploaded. I think so. Okay. So, any question? Do you have another question?
Yeah, there is a comment.
Comment or
chat.
something?
So if you can answer that. From my previous work, the project managers are the one doing the estimates, but the details are from the development/QA leads. Any comment on that?
Wait a minute, sir. I'll check it out. I'll read the question. Comment. What's the question? Lead developer or project manager? I think I'm not that familiar with the lead developer because in our team, we only have a project manager. Maybe, sir. I'm not that familiar with the lead developer. From my previous work, the project managers are the one. Yes, actually. But the detail, yes, the dev QA leads, yes. Actually, that is teamwork and collaboration to one another. That is correct. I upload it to the file. Here. Still uploading. Still uploading po. Nag-a-upload pa po siya. Medyo malaki po yung PowerPoint presentation ko. That is 73 pages. I think if you like, okay, you can email me to this email ad. Please email me here. I'll type it to the chat box. Please email me so that I can share it to you. Okay, I'll type it to the chat box. You can email me instead. Kasi medyo malaki po talaga yung PowerPoint presentation. Thank you. No more question? Please do email me. Yes, I already shot it to your chat box. So try to locate my email ad in the chat box before you leave. Thank you very much too. Yes, I already provided my email ad.
Ano? Wala.
I'll copy paste again. That one.
Sinira yung wall, sinira yung wall.
Okay. So I think, Sir Akbar, I'm already done. I think they are already done as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Rosemary. Indeed, very insightful. Indeed, very interactive. And I'm sure the participants had a really good time by putting a lot of comments in the chat box. That shows their interaction and their involvement. So I'm very much thankful, and thank you very much. Have a nice time.
Thank you. God bless you all. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. To the participants, as the next session that is planned on the serverless.net 6 functions of the Azure by Hans Mali Gamit. So I'm still I'm waiting. We are still waiting for her to join. And we are in conversation that that she should join us at the latest, and then we will continue with the session.
Akbar. It's me, Hansa Mali.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Indeed, great. If you could please, turn on your camera, please.
I have some problems in my video cam. I will share my PowerPoint slides. Is that fine?
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me first of all let me welcome Hans, the speaker. So let me introduce first of all the profile of the Hans Maria. She is with us. We are extremely thankful for joining the session. Hans Maria Cabbage is an experienced professional in .NET Stack and Azure, also in MVP Azure and Microsoft certified trainer. She is a frequent speaker at tech events, an award-winning writer on the Microsoft TechNet forum, and author of a book on Azure Functions with Cosmo DB. Our speaker for the second half is here to join, and I hand over the forum to you to continue. Thank you very much for joining, and good luck.
Thank you, Akbar, for that nice introduction. So I have shared my screen. Can you see that?
Yes, it is shared.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we'll proceed with the session. Apologies, I couldn't come on time. I think you had a very good session on project management and you got clarified all of your questions. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So in today's session, I'm going to talk about the Azure Functions and how it's compatible with .NET 6, and in future what will be there with Azure Functions with .NET 7. So before that, I will give you a brief introduction about me. I am Hansamali Gamage from Sri Lanka. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Azure, and as well as I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I work as a technical lead in CAMS in Sri Lanka. I have experience in .NET Stack and especially on cloud platforms like Azure. Also, I have a 3-year-old boy, so it's sometimes a roller coaster ride to work from home and to manage everything, do community work and everything. So, but it's my the leisure time hobby. So that's why I like to participate into conferences and to write blogs and to meet new peoples around the globe. Okay, so we'll go into the session. So this is about the Azure functions. I hope you guys have some kind of a understanding about these cloud platforms. In earlier days, like before like 2000, so we when we were creating applications for clients, mostly people were creating applications on Windows application. So you are going to create some application, maybe let's say student registration system. So you are creating that application, and you are deploying that application into each and every computer. So maybe let's say a university, they can use that student registration system installed in their laptops or in their machines to register new students to their universities. Then this web and this internet thing came up. So instead of sticking into the Windows applications, people, the developers, the clients, the customers, they moved into web applications. So in there they created websites, web applications, and they created those applications and deployed it to a one machine that's called as a server. So in that one machine, so you can deploy your DLLs or exe files in whatever the corner in the world that customer or the client resides. They can ping into the URL of that hosted web application, and they can access those applications or the pages. So that was the time. It was like maybe like 10 to 15 years back. Then this server requires to manage all these files, to manage the data in the databases. So it was require high amount of power, memory, processing power, everything. So and also there were couple of advantages as well as disadvantages, because of the data needs to be highly available. The application, some mission critical applications couldn't go offline to do the maintenance, and the increase in demand of the customers. So because of that, they had to like increase and decrease the amount of processing power, the memory, maybe for the end of the December season for a shopping cart application. They want to have, they have to serve like millions of user requests. But for the other months, for let's say for the other 10 months, they don't want to have that much of processing power, memory, and database storage, because the transactions are much less compared to December season. So because of that, because of those various reasons, people wanted to just isolate this infrastructure stuff into someone else. They will only focus on the application development, managing these servers, hosting, increase in the resources. They don't wanted to isolate or outsource this into someone else. So the cloud platforms was there, like Google Cloud Platform, AWS, IBM, and Microsoft Azure. So in Microsoft Azure, they came up with a lot of paradigms. At first, they started with virtual machines, and then we have several paradigms like infrastructure as support, platform as a service, software as a service. So these type of paradigms we passed on. In without going for a virtual machine, you can have this Azure App Service, you can have Azure SQL database, Azure API service. and host your web application or website in Azure App Service in a separate environment based on your request, based on the requirement of your users. You can automatically you can ask Azure to increase and decrease these the resources required, or else based on the number of transactions you can ask the you can ask the database to grow or shrink. And also it has uh, high availability. You can achieve high availability as well when the Asia region's application needs to go offline. From somewhere around European region, application can serve the request to the can serve the request from the customer. So that was the high availability that the people can achieve using these cloud platforms. So in Microsoft Azure, they have introduced these Azure functions. What is the difference between this Azure App Service that usually we can host web applications or websites, or Azure Functions? What is the difference between this App Service and the Azure Functions? So if you remember, if you have experience in earlier when we were developing these Windows applications or web applications, sometimes let's say we have a requirement to send an email every 30th of the month. This is something like profit and loss statement, let's say. So only that functionality requires for the financial administration. So in one of your web application, you can write this email sending logic, and that host, that means whatever that application needs to be online throughout the 30th day 30 days of the month, but only for a one day that functionality will be executed. Okay, so that's a normal behavior of a web application. This is not a shopping cart application. This is just application to send an email. Just do some calculations. Profit and loss statements needs to be sent to some administration guys. So in order to cater this requirement, in earlier days, we used to write Windows services somewhere around 2005-6. So we used to write Windows services and install that in a server machine, on-premises server, on-premises machine. We are we are installing this Windows service and it will do the job. Same as that with Azure, in order to isolate these kind of a very basic, very small functionality, very small number of code line, these maybe a chunk of code, you can isolate this into separate containers to a separate place, and based on the requirement, maybe at the end of the month. So that's a we can say that's timely. You need to execute that, or maybe we can say when you get something into the when a new record is inserted into the database, or when a new picture is uploaded into some container, you need to do something. When a new image is uploaded into a container, you have to check whether this image is a is a copy of maybe you have to do some analysis on that image. How many people are there in the image, and what is their age, and is that a male or female, or kind of analysis with using Azure Cognitive Services. So based on the we can say that as a trigger. Based on the trigger that is up, the image is uploading into the container, you have to do something. So these kind of actions can be done using Azure Functions. You don't have to have a separate you don't have to have a web application to run every time for the whole year to do these kind of to execute these kind of chunk of code. You can have Azure Functions because costs is also a problem, right? You don't have to ask your web application to stay online for 365 days if it's going to run, if it's going to run only for a particular time. So you can use Azure Functions for that. You have Azure Web Jobs as well, but in Azure Web Jobs, if you already have Azure App Service, or if you have a web application, and in that you can have Azure Web Job. With the Azure with the App Service, it will be online to serve the customer request. Inside that host, your web job will be there. But for the Azure Functions, it's an individual piece of code, individual function. Uh, it doesn't require any web application or anything. It will stay offline once it gets something like based on some timely manner, or if some things getting uploaded into a container, or if a record is inserted to a database, it will come up and do his job and will go offline. Only for that time, let's say to process that, it took like 3 minutes. Only for that 3 minutes you have to pay. For that 3 minutes, it will access these number of resources. It will take 3 minutes to execute. For the amount of time that has taken to process the request and the amount of resources it has acquires, for those two only you have to pay. You don't have to pay it for a whole year. So that's the advantage of using Azure Function. So this Azure Function, we can say it's a serverless function platform in Azure. So you can have multiple events to start this Azure Function. You can have a HTTP request. You can send a request, HTTP request, and start the Azure Function. You can have a queue trigger. You know, in Azure we have multiple storages. We can store your data in a database. You can store your data in you can store your image or documents kind of data in blob storage. If you want to manage a hierarchy, manage a queue like a data structure, you can use a queue. So we have different type of storages are there. So you can have a queue trigger when a queue let's say you are managing an online maybe a online food ordering system, like maybe we can say it's like KFC or some Pizza Hut. So the person from person A is requesting item number 1 and 2. Person B is requesting item number 2 and 3. So these orders can be placed into a queue. The first ordered will get served next. The second one will be served after the first order is finished. So likewise, in a queue storage, we can insert or maybe say we can push or enqueue these items into a queue, and then based on the priority, based on the order, you can dequeue these items and you can process these things using Azure Function. So as an example, I can say you have a queue trigger in for a Azure Function, and they will enqueue a set of one order. So in that order, you have to serve item. You have to provide item number 1 and 2. You can have a one function to check whether there are any the required ingredients are available for this order. For the second function can serve if the ingredients are not available in this branch, in this place. If you have nearby places, you can check the inventory of those the nearby places, and if you can get that, you can get those ingredients. Or for the third function, you can say you can send a message to the customer who is waiting to get his or her pizza, you can send a SMS to them. We will be sending your parcel within next 15 minutes. In the fourth function, you can check whether do you have any available bikes or available drivers are there to dispatch this order to the required location. So likewise, you can have separate functions, a very small chunk of code. So the beauty of this is so in a Azure function app you can have separate functions, and if one function needs a high amount of resources, you can increase that. For some functions you can decrease that, and separately you can deploy these four functions. You don't have to make offline all the four functions to deploy a one version of the deploy a new version of a one function. So that's also there. So you can scale up and down based on the number of requests, and you have usually you have free millions of execution in consumption plan if you go with consumption plan. So yeah, you have a question.
Meeting, no? Meeting siguro ni.
I'm still on my first slide. So shall I proceed? I think it's good to go. So as I mentioned before, you have to pay only when you use it for the computational power. Any questions? Or else I will move to the next slide.
Yes, ma'am, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with .NET 6, we have some features with .NET 6, some new features that makes your life easier if you are using Azure Functions. So it requires your modern these applications to have the zero downtime, right? Your customers or your clients can't live they can't live with you without your system. They can't live without these. Maybe you can't live without, maybe I don't know, maybe TikTok, Tinder, this Twitter, Facebook, so many, Instagram, this and that. So they can't live without that, right? So it requires to have the zero downtime in your application. So it's a built-in feature with Azure Functions. So it has multiple availability zones. So if the Asia application goes down, the customers can get redirected to the European region, and from there they can um, do the request and get the response what they requires. And also open API extension is also generally available with .NET 6. So before going into this, I will give you some idea about this .NET and the history of .NET and what was there. So at first Microsoft they came up with .NET framework, right? .NET framework. So for now we have .NET framework 4.7.2. Then they thought, okay, so at those days the .NET framework was like more into only for the people who loves Microsoft and .NET. So it was not free to use the IDEs. IDEs means the Visual Studio that we are using to code using .NET framework, C Sharp, Visual Basic, F Sharp, those type of languages. So Microsoft, they thought, okay, we want to go open source. We want to be loved by many people. So they actually hired these the top people who were using this Linux and Mac OS. The Scott Hanselman is one of them. So they hired him and the other people. I am a huge fan of him. Because of that, I remember only his name. So they got these kind of top people hired into Microsoft and got their idea, and they went they went to open source platforms as well. They introduced .NET Core, so that can be run not only in Microsoft, not only in Windows machine, that can be run in a Linux server, that can be developed. The .NET Core application can be developed in a .NET in a Mac OS as well. So they have now they are launching Visual Studio for Mac OS. Now they have Visual Studio Code that's entirely free. They can in there you can run a Node.js application, Angular application, and so many applications there. And if you take Azure, in Azure you can host your Java application as well. You have your PHP application, it's Python friendly. And if you go into the Azure Cosmos DB side, that's a document database, not a relational database. We have SQL Server. Document database side, you can use Azure Cosmos DB container to host your document databases. So in there you can host your MongoDB. So for the people who don't work on .NET related platforms, so they can also get the benefits from the Azure and also this .NET Core. And when it comes to the performance side, .NET Core is like going hand in hand with Node.js server. So that's also a proud achievement from Microsoft. So yeah. So with .NET 6 that was launched last November. In every year .NET will be releasing their versions, even though it's COVID or this and that. So in .NET 7 will be released in November, and the preview may be available for now to use, but generally it will be available in November with the in .NET 6 we have this new durable functions backend. So what is this durable function? So we talked about these Azure functions. Durable functions means if you want to pass some output to the second function as the input. So let's say you are using that same queue to check whether the items are available, to send a message to the customer, and to check whether the drivers to dispatch the orders, are they available. To check those three functionality, you are writing three functions, and you can use the same queue storage for that. Let's say if the first function doesn't go well, if it fails, you don't have to go to the second function, right? So in that case, the output of the first function will be an input to the second function. In that case, we are naming those functions as durable functions. So with .NET 6, it has a great support with Microsoft SQL for the durable functions. And as I told you earlier, so we have storages to store the data. In the blob storage, we can store documents, images. In queue storage, you can store items like queue is some kind of a data structure, so you can put your ordered items in a queue, in event hubs, in event grid, the service bus. So for these Azure services or Azure storages, with .NET 6 it has some good compatibility with Azure functions. And so these blobs and queues, mainly it has new SDKs. It supports this identity based connection without using connection strings and secrets. If you have a blob storage and you want to store your client's data in that blob storage, you are going to access that blob storage from a connection string and with the secret. No? So you can directly access these you can directly access these uh, identity information when you are running these functions in your machine, and with the cloud version as well. At first of all, you are running these functions in your machine and then deploy it into the Azure cloud. And another new extension is this Azure Web Pub Sub. So you can push data in real time. If you know the web sockets, you can send a message to the listeners, the server and client, web pub sub, publisher and subscriber model. So you can push this data in real time, send a response to messages in real time. It's like serverless web sockets. And also the news is .NET 6 with Azure Functions are ready for the production use. Okay, so we'll go to this Azure Functions .NET roadmap. So in .NET Core 3.1, we have a host that runs inside a process. We have a host that's going to run inside a .NET process. For the JavaScript function or a application, it runs in a node process. So this function is tightly coupled to the .NET version you have developed your function. So it's tightly coupled in when it's in process. So with .NET 5, it has introduced this isolated process. So .NET 5 has this isolated mode. It's going to decouple this host from the .NET version. So same as the other platforms like TypeScript, this is more faster and independent when you have isolated process. So likewise with .NET 6, you have in process and isolated process both, and that will be long term support. So it will be available, that support will be available for at least 3+ years. So likewise .NET 7, .NET 8 will be only continuing with isolated process. So Microsoft is keen to invest more and more to this isolated process, which is faster from .NET 7 onwards. Okay. But existing customers with in process, they can use .NET 7 and .NET 8 with in process mode. Okay, this is some metrics that when to use, which one to use. So if you want to migrate to .NET 6 in process execution model, so durable functions are available only in process execution model. If you want to use durable functions with .NET 6, you have to go for the in process mode. Okay, so we'll go through a demo. So I have talked much. So we'll go to the demo of the day. So I'm using Visual Studio 2022. So I have installed .NET 6. So I will try to create a new project and trying to upload this into Azure as Azure function. So I will create new project. And you have these drop downs. You can select the language and you can select whether are you focusing on Azure, are you focusing on Windows. So if you want to do some mobile application development likewise, so I will go with Azure, and you can see Azure functions are available here. So I will select Azure functions and go next. I will say this is as a calculator and create this one. So as I mentioned you earlier, so you can select the .NET version. For now I will go with .NET 6 without going for isolated. So in process 1 I will be using. So I will select a HTTP trigger. I gave you some kind of a rough idea what is a queue trigger, what is the blob trigger, and what is a timer trigger for a particular time frame that Azure function will be running. So I will go with HTTP trigger. This function will be up when you send a HTTP request to it, and it will do some processing and give you a response. So I will click on create, and I will select the authorization level as anonymous for now. So I will hit on create. It will be creating the Azure function. I hope your function is ready. Yeah, so I will increase the font a bit. Okay, so this is the Azure function we have created. So if you go to the Solution Explorer, you can see this function 1.cs, this host JSON file. Try to open this one. And this local settings file, if you want to mention any connection string information to your blob storages, to your queue storages, or to your databases, you can do that in here. Okay, so I will move into the function. I will just run this one. You can say debug, start without debugging. So I got this kind of a console window. So here it waits, it is running in this URL with this 7189 port. I will copy this URL and I will go to the browser. Yeah. I will go to the browser here and type this URL, pi function 1, and it says something like this: executed successfully, pass a name in the query string or in the request body. Okay, this is the message. So what is this? So if we are trying to understand what is happening, so this is the function allow anonymous, and if you just hover over this one, you can see it has 4 overloads. If we go into this definition, so we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 parameters passed. So if we go into the definition, it has these things. So at first you have to pass the authorization level, and then you have to pass the route, whether this is support get or post, and what are the methods here. Okay, so if we go here, we are passing auth level, and what are the parameters this is going to pass. That's what are the request types. This is accepts, it's get and post, and we are passing route as null. So this is the request object we are getting. In that request objects, it's going to check whether something called name is there. In here, it's going to check the request header. In here, it's going to check the request body and check whether a name parameter is available. If that name is empty, it's going to print this message. That's what we got. If there's a name, it's going to print this as hello, something like this. Okay, so if we are trying to pass a name. Then it says hello. Okay, I have some code here. I will quickly go and copy paste that one. This is just a calculator. In here, actually, it's going to check. It's going to accept for. Uh, it's going to check whether in the request in the header is it something is available as rate or else in the body. So it's going to get the rate, just the same thing. So if I say start without debugging, move into here. I should see my, oh, it says no. I have to close this window, that's why. So it started. So I will move to my browser. Now it's not name. You have to pass as rate. It says name. Maybe let's check again. Seven, 1, 8, 9. Copy. And it's checking the name. Let's just try to debug this one. I will close this window. I will get the URL. Copy. It should hit the Visual Studio. It's not hitting here. Maybe some problem. I will try to run this again. Maybe let's try with the name. Edit, copy. Okay. Okay, no problem. There's something wrong with the request. It's not picking up. So I will keep this one aside, and I will run this already prepared application. I will try to run this one. I have given a separate function name as well here. The same thing, it accepts for the rate from the checks whether the rate parameter is there available in the request header or in the request body. I will copy the new function URL and go here, calculate salary. So I will say rate. So we'll be getting something like this as the message. So now I will try to deploy this one into Azure. Okay. So I will close this one since it's no longer used. If not, I will get messed up with two applications. So I have renamed the function that has come with the template. So what you have to do is you have to publish this one. So you can select the project, say publish. You want to publish this into Azure. So I will say next for a Azure Function app on Windows. Next. Okay, I have to sign in. You have to sign in to Azure. Next. It will do something in the background to retrieve my account. So meanwhile it's doing its process, I will move into my Azure portal. This is my Azure portal. I have already created this Azure function here. This is the name of that function. So I will move into Visual Studio. What is happening here? Okay, I will try to retrieve my correct account. So these are my the functions. I just trying to get the correct account that I have logged in here. So if not, this function app will not be visible here. With me for 2 minutes. I find my correct account. Okay, so it has identified my subscription and listed down here, and you can view your applications by resource group or resource type. So I will go with resource group, and you can create a function app. So I will say I will try to create a new function app. I will say submit. So you can create a new resource group to hold that function app. Resource group is like a folder in your in your machine. So in the one folder you have documents, word files, powerpoints, images. So likewise in a resource group you can have a function app service, you can have a database likewise. So I will create a resource group. Okay, and you can go in the consumption plan, and then for the location I will select somewhere like Southeast Asia. Okay, and you can create a storage account. So I will select you want to have a storage account Why? You have, when your function app is running in your in local machine also, you saw these logs, right? In order to store these logs, this function has started, this it yes, this kind of a error. You want to have a storage to log this information. So I will say okay. You can say, you can separate, you can give a region as well. So I will just go with the standard locally redundant storage. I don't want to this doesn't have mission critical data. Uh, I don't want to store a copy of these logs into another region. So I will go with locally and say okay and create. So it will be creating the function app behind the scene. So until that, I will be going here. So if you want to find the resource group that I have for this web Azure function app, that's salary calculator. So if I go there, so you can see inside the salary calculator resource group, I have this storage account. I have the storage account. I have the function app, and this is the app service plan. Okay, so if I go into here, we can see these functions available. So in the salary calculator function app, I have only one function. If you want to have another function, so I can show that from the Visual Studio. So if you have multiple functions, you can see all of them here and with the trigger type. So I will go inside that, and you can get the get function URL. You can copy that one and paste it here, and here also you have to pass the rate. No, so I will say rate 1. So you are getting this message. This is the hosted function app base. This is HTTP request type, HTTP request trigger function app. When it's going to get the HTTP request, it will come online and serve this one and give the response like this, and will go offline. Okay, so you can code and test here. You can do some integrations here. So this is the kind of flow chart. When HTTP request comes, it's going to do this function. And if you want to specify some output, if you want to store some information to the databases, if you want to have some other inputs, so this is kind of a chart, kind of a diagram to show you what is happening in here. Okay, so we'll check whether this. Okay, now we want to click on finish. So it will be creating the function app. Here it says ready to publish. I will hit on publish.
Ansamani.
Yep.
Hello.
Yes.
May I request, because we the another session, the main session that is actually is commenced. So will you be taking few minutes to wrap up, or what?
Yeah, give me like another 2 minutes, Akbar.
Sure. Thank you.
So this is the application is getting built, and then it's trying to publish. So this is the, if I move into my Azure portal, let's see. Yeah, it's there. So if I go into the resource group, you can see the same in here. Okay. Yeah, that's the demo I have prepared for you guys. If you have any questions, you can ask from me.
Thank you very much for the very meaningful session. If you are having any question, if the participants are having any question, they can come up with, or they can write in the chat as well. Before we are moving to the next two smaller sessions that are planned for today, and then the day will be called off. It's the second day of the summit. Any question? If not, that then I'm extremely grateful once again to our esteemed guest Hansa Mali for the valuable insight that she has put in during the session. I'm extremely thankful to you all, to the participants as well, for your patience with us. And now we will be calling this session off, and you all are requested to join the main track of the summit, where two smaller events, two smaller sessions are planned related to the digital identity and security, and why is cybersecurity important more than ever before. So thank you very much, and see you there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
Ma'am, pwede na po mag-lead. Thank you.
This is Santorini's Elementary School's online bulletin. Right now, an anonymous post is trending about a student who was accused of cheating during their test. This is Crystal. She is a consistent honor student in 10th grade from Santorini Elementary School. For some reason, her schoolmates are accusing her of cheating on the final exams because she got a perfect score while many failed. However, she studied extremely hard and absolutely did not cheat. Because of this, Crystal started getting hate emails. Some students are threatening to post about her in their social media to go viral, and other students are calling her names and telling her that she should just drop out of school. This caused Crystal a lot of stress, but because she remembered what she learned at the DICT Cybersafe learning program, she knew exactly what to do next. Thanks to DICT Cybersafe learning program, Crystal learned about cyberbullying. Aside from cyberbullying, she also learned about guarding herself against online scams, cyber threats, credibility of online information, and many more. The Cybersafe learning program by Go Philippines and DICT aims to empower the young Filipino to self-manage cyber safety and well-being through proactive education. This is a 1-hour online class that she took with her friends, where they had a trainer discuss and teach them the following: use of digital technologies in today's world, threats and risks of digital space, importance and basic concepts of cyber safety and hygiene, techniques and best practices, and how to be safe on the digital space. Crystal's class even shared stories on the dangers of cyberbullying and making sure that the digital space is safe for minors like her. So what did Crystal do? She collected screenshots of the bullying she received and told her parents and teachers about the situation. The school did some intervention and steps to make sure cyberbullying is not tolerated in school and made sure the bullies are made responsible for their actions.
Good afternoon, everyone, and we are welcoming you back here at the main plenary. So once again, we would like to thank everyone for being part of the second day of our second Philippine Skilling Summit 2022 and for joining our education tracks. You are now here at the main plenary, and we still have two special guest speakers that will be sharing with us their expertise. So now allow me to introduce our first speaker for this afternoon. She is currently the ICT Security Officer for University of Malaya. Her core competencies are in the field of cybersecurity management, information security management systems, being the lead auditor, monitoring system, ICT policy, rules and procedures, and also the ICT trainer for cybersecurity courses at staff, IC citizens, and for students. So once again, allow me to introduce and warmly welcome our speaker for this afternoon, the ICT Security Officer for University of Malaya, no other than Dr. Noor Azliza Wahab. Good afternoon, Dr. Wahab. Welcome to the Philippine Skilling Summit 2022.
Afternoon, Floribel. Thank you for warming welcome. Right. Should I start now?
Yes, ma'am, you may start now.
Yeah, you can hear me, right? Clearly.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you well.
All right. Okay, for today, let me share my screen first.
Excuse me, Dr. Wahab, we can't hear you, ma'am.
Sorry, my mic is suddenly silent. Right. Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Right. Okay. So afternoon, everyone. So I will go through with you all some sharing about digital identity and security. So as introduced by MC just now, I'm working at University of Malaya as ICT Security Officer. So for this afternoon session, I will go through with you all some of our experience in managing security in campus environment to ensure that learning environment for the student is always good, is always excellent. So this is our main responsibility to ensure the university is able to provide a very good user learning and teaching platform experience for students and also for the lecturers. Okay, so for the specific topic for me this afternoon is digital identity. So I think everybody is actually understand or well known about the identity and also the digital identity. So when we talking about digital identity, actually it talk about the identity in a digital form, right? Okay, so when we say identity, of course it will represent some attribute or maybe some something about person, organization, application, or devices. This digital identity actually a key to allow person or to allow some student or individual to access services provided by the university. So when we do the digital identities verification, so we will make sure that the possible computer can connect to our service, connect to our application, and connect to our server as well. Okay, so how to understand this digital identity in short? So we can summarize in four things lah. So that when we say that digital identity, it will please make it you clear. The digital identity is something this is very meaningful, very important, it's very expensive of value. The value is very high for everybody to take care. So what is identity? It's what you know. Okay? For example, the username and password, pins and security codes, secret facts or passphrase, and also what you have. Okay? For example, the identity, because everybody of us, we have an identity card, or perhaps bank card, because everybody actually save money in a bank. Of course, we do have the bank cards and also other IDs and device itself, and the device that user have, for example, the smartphones, because currently we are dependent very much with the smartphone. We do the scanning, we do the QR code scan, and etc. using the smartphone itself. Right. So the next is what you are. So what you are is something that you have lah. It's something that belongs to you. For example, the biometric, such as fingerprints, face image, iris image, vein image, and voice prints. And the number 4 is the context. This is very important for the organization. Like me, because we are managing the IT center. So the context will represent our organization. For example, the geolocation, the IP address, where you are connected, mobile number perhaps, but the mobile number will belongs to the personal person. But if the computer and is belong to the organization, mobile apps and also the website. So this digital identity normally become a common authentication factors. This what you have, what you know, what you are, actually become one of common authenticating factors. Some of the organization, they will practice multi-factor authentication, for example, and then some of them are doing the SSO. So this is among the things that very important for the authentication to make sure the security of the service and then security of the platform that we are provide to the student. Okay, I will share with you with our common circle of requirements for UM's online transaction. I think this is very general. Perhaps other organizations also practice the same thing. So actually, it starts with the user itself, the student, and then perhaps the staff, the lecturer, and they will do the connectivity through other devices, and then after they are doing the connectivity, they will do the authentication. And here we are focusing about digital identity, right? Because from the digital identity, only we can allow you all to access digital or online services and transaction. Without this valid digital identity, the user or the student will be declined from using our service or application. Right. So for this digital identity, to use the digital on online service and transaction, we simplify this as an identification process. The identification process starting with enroll, which is we identify who you are, either you are valid or not, and then we will authenticate. The user must be authenticated, providing the credential. So from the credential that provided only we can ensure that you are the valid user to use the system or to use the application. After the authentication, so the authentication also some of like I said before, some of the organization they will have a multiple multi-factor authentication or SSO, and then after that only we authorize and we verify you are the correct student or you are the correct user, then you are good to go, right? So when we are doing this process and then the online transaction as well, we are facing some challenges. Okay, in education environment, this is among the challenge for us to overcome. Okay, so the number one is of course the security, the data protection. How do we ensure that all the valuable data is always protected while using our platform or while using our online transaction? So this is there are need for a legal framework to address and prevent identity theft, data misuse, and data breach. Okay, this is actually a very big challenge for us. And then we also have go through the data breach incident, for example. And then from there, we are always improving our data protection, security, and privacy level. Okay. Now, number two, the challenge that we have is the interoperability between systems. Okay, because for us to do a SSO, the single sign-on, we need to ensure that they have interoperability between systems. Okay, so when we do the interoperability, we are building trust. So we are reducing cost and fraud. We are reduce the risk of duplication as well. So increase efficiencies and veracity in the authentication and verification process. This interoperability system between system is not easy to do actually, because in our environment we have a multiple in-house open source together with proprietary like Microsoft. We also use Microsoft. We also use some of proprietary network devices. So this is for us to ensure the interoperability is quite challenging, but we managed to solve it phase by phase. Okay, the number three challenges for us is user readiness. So the user readiness, like for example, the student itself. So the student also need to have a very good awareness and information about what is the threat for them. Like we said that these are just now, right? So how the student can understand which one is actually valid and which one is not valid. So without the awareness, so it's hard for them to understand and to know which one is good, which one is bad. So that's why I think that the initiative that Go Philippine do during this 3-day summit is very good to improve the user readiness and improve security awareness level between the user itself. Because I think in Malaysia we are also struggling in this thing. Perhaps in Philippines as well. So because this is a common scenario in organization. Okay, another challenge is the technical expertise, because when you see the technology for the digital identity, it's always moving, it's always improving, and now we are moving towards IR 4.0, and then we are moving towards digital transformation. So we need to ensure that our technical expertise is always up to level at the farm. Okay, and also the last one is the financial to support the initiative, because we need for a management support to allocate a sufficient budget to ensure that we are at the right track during this digital transformation. Okay, and then I also want to share with you all about our current challenge pre and post pandemic, because pandemic is worldwide, right? So many layers of data. You can see here from here, this is 10 layer for data. For example, it starts from the data itself, the database, the apps, the platform, the network itself, and the endpoint, the process, people, and parameter. So this is layers of data. And then what different between post and pre is in our environment is the number of utilization, the percentage of utilization. For example, before not all data or not all system is accessible everywhere, and maybe some of them is actually accessible inside. Not from outside, but now we need to make sure every single thing is actually accessible everywhere, anywhere, either from home or from car. So this is a challenge, quite a big challenge for us. But this is that we have to go through, and we need to prepare everything, right? Then. Of course, we have challenges. We also have the opportunities. With the new norm, the future-ready economy of things. So as an organization, actually, we always do a continuous process of improvement, and then we also comply to the government's requirement, and the faster, the flat, agile, streamline, teach enable, efficient and resilient. This is government initiative. Actually, this is part of transformation plan, where we embed in our plans, strategic plan as well. Also, we also work towards SDG to further improve in our services. Right, and then another one opportunities is moving towards smart, sustainable global knowledge city. This is our roadmap. This is our roadmap where, while we are moving towards digital transformation, we are moving towards the smart campus, because we call that smart campus, or another name we call that is Global Knowledge City. So we will cover from a multi-layer of infrastructure, people, process as well. And then we also support the 5 pillars and 16 initiative of strategic plan. And then some of our information system, this is application system, the ICT quick wins, this is some of our core application system that we are using to support the university operation, right? And then also the opportunities coming from the digital economy blueprint. This is, that our government also support a very good initiative to ensure that digital transformation will be done properly, and then the digital identity also will be protected, and to ensure that a portion will run securely and safely. Okay, so this is among our city transformation initiative. So you can see here the remote learning, because everybody now move remote learning, open distance learning. I think also in Philippines also doing this thing, and because I believe that Microsoft is there to help for us to do remote learning, open distance learning, micro credential, and another initiative as well. We also try to automate some of our system, build our data warehouse, and then we also always improve our infrastructure, including the upgrade for Wi-Fi AP, replacements or all switch, improve our network infrastructure as well, expansion on the premise servers. So this is the layer of things that we are always continuous for improvement, and also we are doing the HPC replacement and operation enhancement. Of course, the cybersecurity and compliance is one of our major concern, where we are always doing the enhancement for cybersecurity measures, for example, the awareness, the monitoring, the incident and forensic, also the compliance. And lesson learned from previous data breach that the big data breach that we have in 2019. So actually, we also have many initiatives to improve, because this, when we say that digital identity and security, it's a never-ending story. It's always a journey. We always need to ensure ourselves at par with the technology, and because the technology change very fast, and R 4.0 is coming in, so we always to always need to be ready to ensure that our cybersecurity is always taken care. And then, together with strategic solution that we have to support our smart campaign initiative, to intelligent network, integrated intelligence surveillance. So also the intelligence surveillance also related to the digital identity itself. Because in future, perhaps when you are doing that the intelligence surveillance, when the people log in, so actually they are already authenticate to the system or perhaps to the device. So this is among the things that we are moving to. And also the Internet of Things is also another challenge for us because we, of course, Internet of Things actually have been started in our environment. And then we also explore the board, RPA, robotic and also machine learning initiative to ensure that our process is always updated, and then it become a more strategic in terms of not only for cybersecurity but also for the operation itself, also for the university operation in general, in overall. Okay, I think that's all for me. So hopefully my something that can be taken away by all the attendees. I hope you can learn something from my presentation or sharing. I think I pass back to the MC. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you once again. That was Dr. Noor Azlisa Wahab. And thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing with us your expertise about digital identity and security. And of course, to acknowledge your message today and to acknowledge your presence for gracing our event, allow me to award our certificate for you, ma'am. One moment, please. All right. So here, ma'am, in behalf of the ICT, the ILCDB, CIBO, Microsoft, and Go Philippines, we hereby present to you this certificate of recognition to you, Dr. Azlisa Wahab, for sharing with us this afternoon your knowledge and expertise as our guest speaker for the second Philippine Skilling Summit 2022. Signed by Maria Lourdes Aquilisan, the Director of DICT ILCDB, Mr. Buddy Veliasis, the Executive Director of CIBO, Mr. Carl Yung, the Chief Partnership and Strategy Officer of Go Philippines, and Mr. Dale Pascual Jose, the National Technology Officer of Microsoft Philippines. So there you go.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am, once again for gracing our summit this year. Thank you, ma'am. So once again, you have heard it from our speaker this afternoon, Dr. Azlisa Wahab, with her topic on digital identity and security. We still have another guest speaker this afternoon before we conclude the day and move forward to tomorrow for the third day of our Philippine Scaling Summit. So allow me now to introduce our speaker for this afternoon. Right, so I hope that our participants are still very much awake and enlightened and excited to join us this afternoon as we hear more from our speaker. So truly, we are grateful here to have you or to facilitate the Philippine Scaling Summit 2022 because for sure, we know that everyone will have a lot of learning takeaway that will make us all ready and fit to global competence in terms of digital technology. So once again, allow me this time around, allow me to introduce our guest speaker. He is the head of sales or the head of growth for sales, partnerships, growth, and internationalization lead. He is also a European lead for Acceleration Labs from Sweden. So without further ado, allow me to welcome our speaker this afternoon, no other than Mr. Mitch De Leon. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to Philippine Skilling Summit.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Thanks, everyone. I apologize. Originally, you had scheduled my partner Thomas Bloom to join us. He can't be here because of a work emergency and also related to security. So, as you know, everything is a work in progress. So, I just wanted to thank everyone in the team, Go Philippines and Microsoft, who invited us here. So I've been invited to talk about why cybersecurity is important more than ever, right? And we just came out of a pandemic, and we need to be aware of the dangers of actual viruses as well as computer viruses and cyber attacks. We've been invited by Go Philippines and Microsoft, and this talk won't be about tactics, but more about mindset. We've been through a pandemic, and you look at institutions like the Center of Disease Control in the US, and this has taught us a lot about the value of prevention, the merits of awareness and education, trustworthy mechanisms of sharing information. There's no perfect fixes, no turnkey solutions, no silver bullets, but many of the issues we face, it's not completely new, and we are not helpless. So we really sort of wanted to just take a little bit of time so we can take a look at cybersecurity and face the challenges head on, being more defensive and resilient as we go along. Next slide, please. So here's a first slide, and it's really a zinger, right? Take a look at the cost first. Cybercrime is at an all-time high. And I know you might take a minute to, a few seconds to look at this big number, $6 trillion, $190,000 a second. For companies and institutions, it's costly in terms of reputation, in terms of trust, in terms of productivity and business disruption. If the conduct of business is disrupted, each minute of disruption has a cost. And, in seconds, in minutes, $11 million. So, of course, these are global stats, right? Possibly in the Philippines, it might be different. But still, with every data breach, it causes irreparable damage in terms of trust, in terms of business reputation, and it's really very, very much a pain. Next slide, please. So I think when we were doing a little bit of the research here from Sweden around the Philippines and around Asia, we were very surprised. And of course, you've heard of Kaspersky. It's a very, very reputable cybersecurity firm globally. And we realized from the literature that at least Kaspersky says that 1 in 4 cyber attacks target Asia. And this is quite alarming, right? And so from 2017 to 2021, malware detection history of Kaspersky, the cyber threats detected in the Philippines rose sharply by 433%. So when you look at 2020, the Philippines was ranked number 9th. And you look at the latest figures in 2021, we are number 4. The Philippines is number 4. Meaning, you look at it in terms of numbers, and we're just, we don't know exactly, here from Sweden, we're not sure really what the actual numbers is, but just put the numbers in real terms. Like let's say that there are 80 million users in the Philippines. That's maybe 40 million people targeted by web attacks, each year. That's a big number. If you look at mobile malware attacks, in the first half of 2021, there are 22,248 mobile malware attacks. That's a very, very big number. So next slide, please. So I know it's a little confusing. We are children's Nordic educational games company. And full confessions here, we're not a cybersecurity firm per se, but what I wanted to take time in the talk, at least today, is to give you this mindset about just a family. Just imagine you're in a family, and if you had children, wouldn't you want to be protective of your most vulnerable children? And I think the way the Nordic approaches cybersecurity is very different. They don't, next slide please, but in essence, the kids in the Nordics are a good proxy for normal organization and adults, right? The way we look at cybersecurity is it's security for all. We're not saying that you should treat your employees or people in your organization as children, but it would be really valuable if you go through the basics, like you're going through the basics for children. If you look at this in this particular mindset, I think you can add layers of process, protection, education, to ensure the safety of all members of your organization or community. Next slide, please. Also part of our business, we have a company called Xtransit, and essentially we're interface engine, IoT providers. We're usually the back end, unsexy part, but we deal with the government. And of course, in the Nordics, dealing with anything with the government deals with sensitive information. So, it's part of our backbone, and it's actually complementary. The way we treat cybersecurity for kids is also the same as what we treat when we deal with the government, meaning we really take extra care to put extra protection so that all are safe. Next slide, please. So, I think what we really want to sort of stress is that while we're not only providers of game portals and game technology for children, we really sort of embrace this idea that everyone has to know what is the threat landscape, and that's sort of what we're very, very good at. Be it for children, be it for adults, when we deal with government. Everything is around communication and information. So next slide, and I think it can give a little bit more depth to it, right? So I think one of the things that are very well done in the Nordics or in Europe is really awareness of cybersecurity, the types of cybersecurity risk, right? And if you take a notice to the top left side, it says 68% of IT managers don't know what an APT is, right? And what is APT? APT is Advanced Persistent Threat. It's a broad term used to describe an attack campaign in which an intruder or a team of intruders establishes an illicit long-term presence in a network in order to mine highly sensitive information. So a lot of people don't even know that term, but it's actually very pervasive. And in simple terms, intruders get into the system and many of the organizations don't even know that they're there, right? So, of course, you take a look at the most common types of cyber attacks, and these are very familiar to you. Phishing, social engineering, and social engineering, if you don't know, it's just fraud by impersonation, somebody impersonating somebody you know. Zero-day attacks might not be a common term. It's number 3, 43%. But zero-day attacks are hackers exploit flaws from a vendor or from a developer, right? So this means you have 0 days to fix it, meaning there's a flaw in their code and they haven't addressed it yet. And this period of vulnerability is really very sensitive. Application layer attacks, number 16%. These are denial of services, HTTP floods. This includes SQL injections, cross-site scripting, parameter tampering, slow locks attacks, right? So these are maybe not very much known to you, but it's there. Next slide, please. This is the heart of, if there's something that you'd like to take away from this talk, and really back to the heritage of Moji Time for Children, it's really just called the 4 Cs. And 4 Cs is content, contracts, conduct, and contact, right? And I know people might think, hey, we're not kids, right? But in essence, this is not all encompassing. I just have to make sure to tell you. But if you look at content, conduct, contrast, and contact, and treat kids and warn kids of the risks of cybersecurity threats, you're in a much better position. Next slide, please. Let's go on content, for example. I highlight here some of the obvious ones, right? Because I think one of the things that is very, very well done in the Nordics, at least, is that organizations, government, vendors like ourselves, we're very explicit when we do best practices. We really put things in writing. So, of course, it's obvious, don't go to sites that have sexual content, offensive content, violence, hate, bullying, but there are other places of content that are less insidious. And of course, it really, really helps that everything is in writing. The cybersecurity intruders, they don't look like kidnappers. We like to say, like kids, the kidnappers dress themselves like ice cream truck salespeople, try to induce, or clowns, they make things very exciting and enticing for children. It's the same for adults, right? They hide in terms of content that looks good, looks legit, but actually is not. I was very impressed that at the initial video that you shared around Ryan. So pretty much in line with that. Next slide, please. Conduct is very interesting, right? I think the way you behave online, it really determines the threat levels as well, right? If you are going to safe sites, you're going to safe shopping sites, the risk is always there, right? But your behavior online or your conduct online largely determines what types of patterns the intruders can detect, right? If they see that you are going to these types of dangerous sites, it's easier for them to intrude and sort of insidiously find their way into the system. Next slide, please. Contracts. I think there's fairly a lot of knowledge around contract scams, right? Scams, identity theft, internet fraud, phishing, gambling, blackmail. It goes back to behavior, right? Your behavior. But it's very insidious. Often we're caught off guard. There's free downloads. There's free offers. A lot of the people from the Philippines, they like to play online games. So sometimes there's free downloads to Minecraft or some newer games out there, right? A lot of free offers, newer applications like cool cartoon yourself applications like chain letter type scenarios, right? These are part of phishing types of scam. Get rich quick, lately, free fractional Bitcoin, right? Things like that. Very, very common. Next slide, please. Contacts. Of course, contacts are really important. In this set of slides, I really focus on writing the obvious. Of course, you don't want to contact radicalization sites, or you don't want to stalk anyone. It's too obvious. But I think what I want you to think really is, in all of the slides, I have this, these words, think before you click, right? Sometimes the most insidious or sneaky ways to get in and to penetrate companies or systems or even your home is to hide it with somebody right? So I think this is really very important. Next slide, please. No system is 100% penetration proof. Attacks will happen, right? So what we're trying to say is that I'd like to incept the idea of embracing a little bit of the hacker mentality, right? Form a team internally to be able to understand foundational basics, right? How attackers behave, how and where attacks often occur, what are appropriate tools you need to defend in an attack, understand firewalls and event logs, review malware, right? And this is sort of like basic. It sounds so simple, but attacks can happen at the software level, hardware level, and in the network level. Next slide, please. Yeah, again, this is hacker mentality, right? And the way to embrace the hacker mentality is really through education, better passwords, multi-factor authentication, safe and secure Wi-Fi, backups, install antivirus software, secure physical devices, be safe rather than sorry. I think what's important to note here is to really have a plan. Talk to the experts. You have people like Go Philippines and Microsoft now having this 1-hour training. Please, you need to take a look at this training that Go Philippines is embracing, because I think if the more you know about what the threat is out there, the more you'd be able to get educated on what is the risks and what protocols to take to avoid the risk. Next slide, please. This is very simple, right? Passwords. I think among the things that is the easiest to implement is just really better passwords. Make it long. I think one of the things, use mix of characters, avoid substitution, right? Just think of the word doorbell, for example, right? Usually doorbell, a lot of passwords are doorbell. I think in Europe, they spell it DOOR and 8377 because 8377 looks like bell. And actually, that's one of the very popular default password hacks that the hackers use. Don't use memorable keyword paths like your birthday 123, right? Don't do that. Some people use passwords and they write their feelings like love or sadness or things like that. Avoid using emotions in your password. I know it sounds funny and crazy, but believe me, a lot of Americans use emotions in their password. Try to use alphanumeric passwords. Try to use special characters as well. There's the ampersand or the and sign. There's the dollar sign. There's the percentage sign. There's the exclamation point. I know password sounds really simple, but it's really a great hack for you to think like an ethical hacker, right? Think like the hacker that is trying to penetrate you. Putting safe passwords can really save you, your family, your organization. Next slide, please. Facebook there's a lot of social engineering scams, and you know this, right? And I mentioned it earlier. This keep calm and play the Tumblr dating game was one of the most insidious Facebook scams ever, and it took a while for Facebook to take it out and realize that it was a scam. The color scheme scam was also very popular. So, and the thing about this is that the scams are happening all the time, every day, and the scammers and hackers are thinking of new insidious ways and games that are really very interesting. Next slide, please. You're very familiar with email scams, and I listened to that Ryan video of Go Philippines and Microsoft. It's very indicative and very, very usable, right? Email scams were very, very, we think we know that it is, but they're getting better, right? So when we look at the sign, for example, the sender address looks dodgy, that's really a sign, but sometimes the senders, they're copying identities of people. So I think it takes a little bit more forensics on our part and care. For example, you look at an account support person and he's from PayPal, there are companies like LinkedIn that have repositories of information on people. You can even look up, is this person working in PayPal, for example? You can look at spelling errors. You can, fuzzy links that are weird. these are telling signs of scams, right? So I think it's really quite important for us to be very vigilant about emails, direct messages, mobile messages, and this might not be something that's on our radar every day, but the scammers are getting smarter each day. So we should be more, suspicious. And I think being more suspicious isn't bad at all. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to, summarize some of the common patterns, right? The literature really tells us that there are increased attacks through web browser. That holds very true to the Philippines. Social engineering scams are really very, very, very prevalent. Platform switching, cross-platform, mobile web. I'll talk a little bit maybe in the next slide about botnets and malware, but botnets are really getting very pervasive and very organized, right? So social engineering scam, botnet is, go ahead, that's okay, botnet. We go to botnet. Botnet is maybe some people are not so familiar yet, but botnet is a robot network. It's a network of computers infected by malware that are under control of a single attacking party known as a bot herder. Each individual machine is controlled by a bot herder called a bot, right? So the main message in this slide is the intruders or the hackers, and I've shown you that it's very profitable, they're getting really more organized. And the reason I put the APT there is because really there's a lot of brute force attacks happening, and I don't see that the trend will go lower, meaning Philippines, Southeast Asia, Asia in general will be subject to a lot of brute force attacks. So we really need to be wary of these organized attacks and really communicate as a family. Think of children, think of your organization like you're taking care of children and you're father or mother of the family. You really need to get your communication and plans in place. Last slide, please. Yeah, so there are really several ways, this is my contact information, and Thomas who's here, you always want to connect with people on this call. You're most welcome. But there are really several ways to develop a cyber secure culture. I think one of the first steps is to build a cyber secure culture is really to think as a family. And I think that's my hope in this talk with you guys, to think of children, think of us. I know the connection is a little bit thin, Moji time and kids, but if you think by incepting the idea of treating people in your organization as vulnerable, if you were a father or mother of a family, you'd really want to keep everyone safe. The concept that no one is safe until everybody is safe, because the most vulnerable is the easy point entry to put everyone at risk. There should be really a concept of security is everyone's responsibility. I mentioned a little bit about the 4 C's and the awareness of it. While it's obvious, don't go just in the obvious stuff around the 4 C's, but really go to under the covers. It's very important that there's communication, like in a family. Understand your cybersecurity infrastructure and your protocol, what to do to prevent it, to maintain. And I think what's most important is you have to know what happens if there's a security breach, right? And what are the protocols, right? It's important to have a conversation among people in the organization, not just the people that are responsible for cybersecurity, like the cybersecurity chief, but everyone, your managers, the CEO, whoever has a computer or a device that has any vulnerability or use within the system, that's a point of entry. So I know it's a little crazy to think that sometimes it could be fun, but sometimes it's really boring to attend trainings. So it's like, you read and understood, did you do this? I think if you embrace a little bit of the game culture, like in the Nordics, like what we do, when we teach children about cybersecurity, it's like a game. We treat it like, it's not like a boring lecture, it's like a game. So that's one of the hacks that we have done, and it's quite effective. Of course, please remember, it's not 100% foolproof all the time. There are, as I had mentioned very clearly in the talk, there's really a lot of incursion happening. Things are more organized. When you have bad actors like, some countries even intruding critical infrastructure, that's a very different, discussion altogether. I think a lot of hackers are doing it for profit. And as I showed you, it's really very profitable. So there's lots of risk to go around. So I think we need to be more vigilant as we go. So that's it from me. I hope, the talk helped. And I really appreciate the folks from Go Philippines and Microsoft and everyone that you've invested the time and your attention for this. And if there was anything that we could help you with, please contact us through our partners, Go Philippines. They're great people and, really doing a great service for the country. And as a Filipino American, I'm very proud to call myself a Filipino and hope you learn a little bit from the Nordics. This is Mitch from Sweden. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Mitch. And yes, your topic this afternoon did not only help us and all the participants here, but of course, it was an afternoon of new learning and a new realization on the very essence and importance of cybersecurity. So with that, sir, allow me to give to you our certificate of appreciation for lending us your time this afternoon. One moment, sir. So once again, sir, thank you so much for gracing the Philippine Skilling Summit this afternoon. And in behalf of DICT, ILCDB, CIBO, Microsoft, and Go Philippines, we hereby present to you this certificate of recognition. To you, Mr. Mitch De Leon, for sharing your knowledge and experience to us, being our guest speaker during the Philippine Skilling Summit 2022, signed by Ms. Maria Lourdes Aquilisan of the ICT, Mr. Buddy Villasis of CIBO, Mr. Carl Yung of Go Philippines, and Mr. Del Pascual Jose of Microsoft Philippines. Once again, Sir Mitch, thank you so much for sharing with us your expertise this afternoon. And truly, we have learned so much from the inputs you have shared with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. So I believe that indeed we have learned so much from Mr. Mitch De Leon, and indeed it is not only about augmenting our knowledge and is strengthening our awareness on cybersecurity, but more so we have realized on the very importance that we know the significance of practicing cyber safety. And with that, allow me to invite all our participants this afternoon that our program on Cybersafe Learning for Education project together with DICT is still ongoing this month of June. All you have to do is to visit our site. All you have to do is to register there. It's a free training program. By the way, the Cybersafe Learning for Education project runs for only an hour. So again, this is just an hour of your time. And with that 60-minute discussion, it includes 3 basic lessons with significant contents on definition, awareness, and of course, precautionary measures to ensure safe and secure digital engagement. The 3 topics included in Cybersafe Learning for Education project are as follows. We have first, the digital world. The second topic is the importance and basic concept of cyber safety. And third, the threats of digital space and best practices. So once again, we encourage all our participants here, if you were not able to join yet or to attend this free training course, it is now time for you to join and to attend this free training program by DICT in partnership with Go Philippines. This is Cybersafe Learning for Education project. Just visit dict.gophilippines.org and you will see there the link on how to register for free. So that concludes our second day of the Philippine Skilling Summit 2022. We're not yet over or we're not yet done because tomorrow is another learning engagement for everyone. So tomorrow is the third day of our Philippine Skilling Summit 2022 with 6 more education tracks waiting for you. And again, we have guest speakers who will be sharing with us their expertise pertaining to our theme this year, which is, of course, we call also this summit as the Future Tech Summit. Let me remind everyone that our program, the Future Tech Summit, our very core objective here is, of course, to create a platform that will reform our education, advance our technical skilling trails, and at the same time equip the youth and the young professionals to keep us ready or to make us ready and fit for global competence in digital world. So once again, I am your host, Miss Bel Ravi, saying thank you to everyone, and we will see you all again tomorrow, 9 o'clock, for the Philippine Skilling Summit 2022. Thank you and have a great day ahead.